This is oddly one of the goriest movies that I'd ever seen as a child. The part where he's pushing the kind of gore out of the hand into the plant's mouth was kind of startling, kind of traumatic, but I loved it. As an adult, it's very much like a EC horror comic and Mad Magazine made a horror movie about plants. Little Shop of Horrors has really a big imprint on popular culture, and I think so many things that Roger Corman did still exist today. Or, I think he invented the Fast and the Furious franchise. He's like the king of B-movie producing, if you don't know about Roger Corman, but he's been honored at, Academy Awards and different awards for his achievements in film because he's just produced so many movies. Very prestigious, interesting career, look it up. But he was also a distributor, so he also picked up films by artists like Federico Fellini and Ingmar Bergman and brought these wonderful foreign films like Armacord and I think Cries and Whispers, which is a great Bergman film, and brought those kind of movies to the United States. More on the highbrow side. On the lowbrow side, Roger Corman is known for making some of the sleaziest or cheapest exploitation drive-in films of all time. Most people I have met have never even heard of the 1960 film. They mostly know the 1980 something remake, Little Shop of Horrors, which is a musical. The 80s version has better special effects, I suppose. It just felt like a kind of homogenized or whitewashed wannabe Rocky Horror, in my opinion, so never was a fan of that version. Watching the film again last night, I was so impressed with its sense of humor. In the early 60s, people were starting to talk about camp. Susan Sontag's notes on camp came a little bit later, but people were still discussing it for the first time in an intellectual critique sort of way. So I feel like Little Shop of Horrors is one of the first movies to really embrace camp.
If you get what I mean.
The other thing that I kept thinking about last night when I was watching the film was how 30s it felt. It felt like a B movie from the 1930s, not a B movie from 1960. And I think a lot of that was on purpose. Seymour, the main character, he has like a little newspaper boy hat, a character plucked out of a screwball comedy from like the early 30s, and where he lives is like a rundown kind of 30s style boarding house, and his mother, she's even seen at the end dressed as a flapper.
Seymour!
Flappers, albeit more of a 20s fad, but the idea is that these people, these characters in this movie, because they live on Skid Row, people who are under hard times, they're sort of living in the past. Maybe while the rest of the world has moved on or is able to move on. So there's a strange sort of economic horror or comedy side of this movie.
To be taken internally or externally for pain and neuritis, neuralgia, headache. If hit by a truck, call your physician. Alcoholic content, 98%.
The humor was very screwball, so I don't think there were maybe a few screwball horror comedies from the 30s and 40s, but this one definitely kind of lived in that spirit in an ironic, campy, aesthetic sort of way, not in a blissfully unaware that they're old-fashioned sort of way. It was old-fashioned on purpose, which I thought was very interesting.
Feed me more, G Junior.
I think Seymour and Audrey, their romance, it kind of reminded me of Ruby Keeler and Dick Powell in those fabulous Busby Berkeley movies. This movie is cute, it's romantic, it's silly, it's horrible, it's horribly like tasteless and, in bad taste, like John Waters would say. It has good bad taste, not bad taste. It is using tasteless humor in an intellectual kind of way. Urban, Skid Row, drive-in magical realism about Little Shop of Horrors. The plant starts talking.
I got a talking plant.
Say it again.
Eat me.
And the character just sort of accepts it as a part of his reality and then moves on. We are never really given a grand explanation about the plant. It's quite ambiguous. He's gotten some seeds in Chinatown, and that's almost all that we know. I like that it's not some big, I don't know, explanation of why the plant is what it is. It just is what it is, and isn't that enough? This is Strangest Films. I'm trying to do it in a new form. There's like a pube. There's a huge pube on the curtain the whole time, and nobody told me. Trying to show my face, so be kind. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.